We will now uncover the hidden connection between the greatest inventor of the modern age and the most controversial mystic of the 19th century. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. These words, spoken by Nikola Tesla, have become perhaps the most quoted phrase in the history of science and spirituality. They appear on posters, in documentaries, across social media, repeated by millions who sense a deeper truth beneath the surface. But what most people don't realize is that Tesla didn't arrive at this understanding through laboratory experiments alone. The concepts of energy, frequency, and vibration as the fundamental building blocks of reality had already been described, decades before Tesla spoke those words, in one of the most extraordinary books ever written, Helena Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine. In 1888, a Russian-born mystic who had spent decades studying in the monasteries and ashrams of Tibet and India published a work that would become the most influential occult text of the modern era. The Secret Doctrine described a universe built entirely from vibration, animated by cosmic electricity, and sustained by a primordial energy that flows through all things. Blavatsky called this force Fohat, the spirit of electricity, the life of the universe. Tesla would later adopt the exact same framework, using Sanskrit terminology drawn from the ancient Vedantic tradition that Blavatsky had synthesized for the Western world. This is not speculation. This is documented history that has been quietly overlooked for over a century. What if the greatest scientific genius of the modern era was guided not just by mathematics and engineering, but by the same occult wisdom that Blavatsky risked everything to bring to humanity? This is not a fringe theory. This is documented history, preserved in personal letters, unpublished manuscripts, and the testimony of those who were there. And once you see the evidence, you will never look at Tesla or Blavatsky the same way again. To understand how Tesla came to embrace these ancient teachings, we must first understand what Blavatsky actually revealed in the Secret Doctrine. In 1888, Helena Blavatsky published her magnum opus, a vast two-volume work that attempted nothing less than a complete synthesis of science, religion, and philosophy. At its core lay three fundamental propositions about the nature of reality. The first, that there exists an omnipresent, eternal, boundless, and immutable principle, an absolute reality that precedes all manifested existence. The second, that the universe is the playground of numberless universes, constantly appearing and disappearing, governed by periodic cycles of manifestation and dissolution. The third, the fundamental identity of all souls with the universal oversoul, and the obligatory journey of every soul through the cycle of incarnation. These were not Blavatsky's own inventions. She claimed to have synthesized them from ancient teachings preserved in secret monasteries across Tibet and India, the accumulated wisdom of ages encoded in Sanskrit texts that Western scholars had never encountered. The Secret Doctrine was not merely a work of philosophy. It was an attempt to demonstrate that the ancient mystery schools, the hidden brotherhoods that had preserved sacred knowledge through millennia of war, religious persecution, and cultural collapse, possessed an understanding of the cosmos that surpassed anything modern science had yet achieved. Blavatsky claimed that behind the apparent chaos of religious mythology and spiritual traditions around the world, there existed a single coherent doctrine, a golden thread of truth running through every civilization, every age, every sacred text, and that this doctrine, properly understood, revealed the actual mechanics of how the universe works. At the heart of this cosmology lay three concepts that would prove remarkably relevant to the future of science. The first was Akasha, the primordial substance. Blavatsky described Akasha as the synthesis of all the forces in nature, the ethereal substratum from which all matter emerges. Not physical matter as science understood it, but what she called abstract, ideal matter, the root of nature itself, containing within it every potential form and force. The second was prana, the cosmic energy. Where Akasha was the substance, prana was the breath that moved through it, the vital force, the animating principle that gives life to all things. Blavatsky taught that prana was not merely biological energy but a universal principle, the creative impulse that drives manifestation at every scale, from atoms to galaxies. And the third was Fohat, cosmic electricity. This was Blavatsky's most striking concept. She described Fohat as the dynamic energy that bridges the gap between spirit and matter, the force that compels the unmanifested to become manifest. In the Secret Doctrine, she wrote, "He is one and seven, and on the cosmic plane is behind all such manifestations as light, heat, sound, adhesion, and is the spirit of electricity, which is the life of the universe." She went even further, declaring that all the so-called forces of nature, electricity, magnetism, light, heat, far from being mere modes of motion of material particles, are in their ultimate constitution the differentiated aspects of one universal motion. In other words, everything is vibration, everything is energy, everything is frequency. Written in 1888, decades before quantum physics would arrive at strikingly similar conclusions. To appreciate the full significance of what Blavatsky was saying, consider the scientific consensus of her time. In 1888, physicists believed in a mechanical universe. Matter was solid. Forces acted through direct contact. The idea that everything was vibration, that solid matter was an illusion concealing deeper energetic patterns. This was considered mystical nonsense. Yet here was Blavatsky drawing from ancient Sanskrit texts, describing a universe that sounds remarkably like what quantum physics would later reveal. That at the deepest level, there are no solid particles, only vibrating fields of energy. That the observer and the observed are inseparable. That consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but its very foundation. She wrote of Fohat, "The vibration sweeps along, touching with its swift wings simultaneously the whole universe, and the germ that dwelleth in darkness, the darkness that breathes over the slumbering waters of life." A single vibration, touching the whole universe simultaneously. In 1888, this sounded like poetry. Today it sounds like quantum entanglement. But Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine didn't just sit on library shelves. It traveled. It reached the minds of artists, intellectuals, and, as we are about to discover, one of the most brilliant scientific minds in human history. In 1893, 5 years after the Secret Doctrine was published, a pivotal event occurred that would bridge the ancient wisdom of the East with the emerging technology of the West. The world's Parliament of Religions opened in Chicago, and standing before thousands of delegates from every faith and tradition on earth was a young Indian monk named Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda had come to America with a mission to share the ancient Vedantic philosophy of India with the Western world. His opening words, "Sisters and brothers of America," received a standing ovation that lasted 2 full minutes, the longest of the entire Parliament. Vivekananda's impact was immediate and electric. Western intellectuals, scientists, and artists flocked to his lectures. Here was a man who could speak of God and physics in the same sentence, who could bridge the mystical and the rational without compromising either. He was magnetic, brilliant, and completely unintimidated by the Western scientific establishment. His core teaching was simple and revolutionary. The universe is one. Consciousness is fundamental. Matter is a manifestation of mind, not the other way around. And the ancient Vedantic sages of India had understood this truth thousands of years before Western science had even begun to ask the right questions. Now, here is what most accounts of this history overlook. The Vedantic tradition that Vivekananda brought to America was intimately connected to the very same ancient teachings that Blavatsky had decoded in the Secret Doctrine. The concepts of Akasha and Prana, of cosmic cycles and the unity of all consciousness, these were drawn from the same well of Vedantic wisdom. Blavatsky had been the first to systematically translate this tradition for Western readers. In fact, when Vivekananda arrived in America in 1893, the ground had already been prepared. The Theosophical Society, which Blavatsky had co-founded in 1875, had spent nearly 2 decades introducing Western audiences to concepts like karma, reincarnation, Akasha, and the 7 planes of existence. Without Blavatsky's pioneering work, Vivekananda would have arrived in a culture that had no framework for understanding what he was saying. Blavatsky had built the bridge. Vivekananda walked across it, and they were two channels of the same ancient stream, the same river of wisdom flowing from the same Himalayan source. And it was through Vivekananda that this stream would reach Nikola Tesla. But who was Tesla at this moment in time? By the mid-1890s, Nikola Tesla was at the height of his powers and his fame. His alternating current system had triumphed over Edison's direct current in the War of Currents. He had lit the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago with AC power, the very same event where Vivekananda had captivated the Parliament of Religions. Tesla was being celebrated as a wizard, a magician of electricity, the man who could harness the invisible forces of nature. But privately, Tesla was grappling with questions that went far beyond engineering. Where did his ideas come from? Why did complete inventions appear in his mind as fully formed visions down to the smallest mechanical detail? What was the nature of the creative force that seemed to flow through him? He was, without knowing it, already searching for exactly what Blavatsky and Vivekananda had to offer. The connection between them was facilitated by an unlikely figure, the legendary French actress Sarah Bernhardt. Bernhardt, herself deeply interested in Eastern mysticism, introduced Vivekananda to Tesla at a gathering in her New York salon, sometime around 1895 to 1896. It was one of those rare moments where history pivots in a drawing room conversation. What happened next would quietly reshape Tesla's understanding of the universe. In February 1896, Swami Vivekananda wrote a letter to an English friend that contains one of the most remarkable sentences in the history of the relationship between science and spirituality. Mr. Tesla was charmed to hear about the Vedantic Prana and Akasha and the Kalpas, which according to him are the only theories modern science can entertain. Consider what this means. Nikola Tesla, the inventor of alternating current, the man who would light the world, heard the ancient Vedantic concepts of prana and Akasha and immediately recognized them as scientifically valid, not as mere philosophy, not as religious belief, but as the only theories modern science can entertain. In an earlier letter, Vivekananda had written, "Mr. Tesla thinks he can demonstrate mathematically that force and matter are reducible to potential energy. I am to go and see him next week to get this mathematical demonstration. In that case, the Vedantic cosmology will be placed on the surest of foundations." Tesla was attempting to do something extraordinary, to prove mathematically that the Vedantic understanding of the universe, the same understanding that Blavatsky had encoded in the Secret Doctrine, could be expressed in the language of physics. Think about what this means. The greatest electrical engineer alive was trying to create a mathematical proof for an ancient spiritual cosmology, not as a hobby, not as a curiosity, but because he recognized in Vedantic philosophy a description of reality more accurate than anything Western science had produced. Force and matter reducible to potential energy, the entire material world as a manifestation of one underlying energetic principle. This is precisely what Blavatsky had described as Mula Prakriti, the root of nature, and what Vedanta called Brahman, the absolute reality from which all things emerge. Vivekananda understood the significance of this moment. If Tesla could produce this mathematical demonstration, it would mean that the most advanced modern science and the most ancient spiritual wisdom were not merely compatible, they were identical, two languages describing the same truth. After these meetings, something remarkable happened in Tesla's work. He began using Sanskrit terminology to describe the fundamental principles of the universe. Where Western physics spoke of the ether, Tesla began to speak of Akasha, the primordial substance that fills all space. Where science described energy in mechanical terms, Tesla began to speak of prana, the cosmic life force that animates all matter. Where physicists measured time in seconds and years, Tesla spoke of kalpas, the vast cosmic cycles of manifestation and dissolution described in Vedantic cosmology and detailed at length in Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine. In an unpublished article believed to have been written around 1907, Tesla described how a primary substance of inconceivable thinness fills all space, and upon this substance acts the life-giving creative force which calls all things into existence through infinitesimal whirls of incredible speed. Primary substance, life-giving creative force, infinitesimal whirls. This is Akasha, Prana, and Fohat, described in the language of an electrical engineer. The implications are staggering. One of the most advanced scientific thinkers in human history encountered the ancient Vedantic tradition, the same tradition Blavatsky had decoded for the West, and didn't dismiss it as superstition. He embraced it. He integrated it into his scientific framework. He began to speak the language of the ancient sages. And he wasn't doing this casually. Tesla was attempting the ultimate synthesis to prove that the spiritual cosmology of the Vedas and the physical laws of the universe were descriptions of the same reality, seen from different angles. This is exactly what Blavatsky had proposed in the Secret Doctrine subtitle, The Synthesis of Science, Religion, and Philosophy. The parallels between Tesla's mature worldview and Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine are not superficial. They are structural and precise. When Blavatsky wrote that Fohat is the spirit of electricity, the life of the universe, she described a cosmic force that operates at every level of reality, from the formation of galaxies to the cohesion of atoms. This force was not merely physical electricity as science knew it, but a universal principle of which physical electricity was only one manifestation. Tesla arrived at the same understanding. He rejected the idea that the universe could be explained through dead matter in mechanical motion. Instead, he saw the entire cosmos as a symphony of vibrating energy, and he believed that by understanding the nature of this vibration, humanity could tap into limitless power. His vision of free energy, of wireless transmission of power through the Earth itself, was not simply an engineering challenge. It was a spiritual quest expressed through technology. Tesla was attempting to channel the same cosmic force Blavatsky had described, to build machines that could tap into Fohat, the universal electricity that connects all things. His Wardenclyffe Tower, the great unfinished project of his life, was designed to transmit energy wirelessly through the Earth and the atmosphere, using the planet itself as a conductor. This was not conventional engineering. This was applied mysticism. Tesla was treating the Earth as a living system, a vibrating body resonating with cosmic energy, exactly as Blavatsky had described it in the Secret Doctrine. Let us walk through the specific parallels one by one, because when you see them laid out together, the conclusion becomes inescapable. Blavatsky wrote that all the so-called forces of nature, electricity, magnetism, light, heat, are in their ultimate constitution the differentiated aspects of one universal motion. Tesla believed that every form of energy was merely a different expression of the same fundamental vibration, and that by manipulating frequency, one could transform one form into another. Blavatsky described Akasha as the ethereal substratum containing all potential forces, the medium through which all energy propagates. Tesla insisted, against Einstein and the scientific establishment, that the luminiferous ether was real. That space was not empty but filled with a subtle substance that carried energy across the cosmos. He saw the brain not as a generator of thought but as a receiver, tuning into a field of intelligence that pervaded all of creation. Blavatsky taught that consciousness was primary, that matter arose from consciousness rather than the other way around, that the universe was not a dead mechanism but a living, intelligent whole. Tesla demonstrated this principle every day in his laboratory. His most famous inventions came to him not through trial and error but through vivid inner visions, complete blueprints that appeared fully formed in his mind's eye. He once described how the idea for alternating current came to him as a flash of insight while walking through a park in Budapest, reciting poetry. The entire motor appeared before him, rotating in the air, perfect in every detail. Where did these visions come from? In his autobiography, My Inventions, Tesla described extraordinary experiences that began in his childhood. He would see flashes of light accompanied by vivid images, scenes so real and detailed that he could not always distinguish them from physical reality. As a child, these experiences frightened him. As an adult, he learned to harness them. He described a process of inner visualization so powerful that he could construct entire machines in his imagination, set them running, and return weeks later to check for wear on the parts. Everything worked exactly as he had envisioned it. When he finally built the physical version, it always matched the mental blueprint perfectly. This was not ordinary imagination. This was not daydreaming. Tesla was accessing a level of perception that went beyond the 5 physical senses, a faculty of direct knowing that the theosophical tradition called clairvoyance or clear seeing. Blavatsky had written extensively about these dormant human faculties in the Secret Doctrine. She taught that humanity, in its current stage of evolution, uses only a fraction of its potential awareness. Within every human being lie sleeping powers of perception, what she called the inner senses, that can perceive realities invisible to ordinary sight. The third eye, the sixth sense, the intuitive faculty that connects individual consciousness to the universal field of Akasha. Blavatsky taught that these faculties were not supernatural. They were natural abilities that humanity had possessed in earlier stages of evolution and would develop again as consciousness continued to unfold. In certain rare individuals and spiritual adepts, mystics, and occasionally geniuses, these faculties awakened ahead of schedule. Tesla was one of these individuals. His ability to receive complete inventions as inner visions, his capacity to work with invisible forces that others could not perceive, his intuitive understanding of the deeper architecture of nature. All of these are consistent with what Blavatsky described as the awakening of latent spiritual faculties. And after meeting Vivekananda, Tesla finally had a framework for understanding his own extraordinary abilities. They were not anomalies. They were evidence of a deeper reality. A reality that the ancient sages had mapped in extraordinary detail and that Blavatsky had made accessible to the modern world. Tesla spoke of accessing something beyond ordinary thought, a field of knowledge, a universal mind. Tesla demonstrated this principle with his life. His greatest inventions were not deduced, they were revealed, and the philosophical system that best explained how this was possible was not Western materialism. It was the Vedantic cosmology that Blavatsky had spent her life's work preserving and transmitting. If the connection between Blavatsky's ancient wisdom and Tesla's revolutionary science was real, why has it remained hidden for so long? The answer reveals something troubling about how history is written and who gets to write it. The forces that sought to bury this connection operated on both sides. Tesla's spiritual dimension has been systematically minimized in mainstream accounts of his life. History celebrates his inventions, alternating current, the Tesla coil, radio technology, while quietly erasing the philosophical framework that made those inventions possible. The reason is simple. The scientific establishment of the late 19th and early 20th centuries was committed to a materialist worldview. The idea that a leading scientist drew inspiration from ancient Vedantic philosophy and occult teachings was, to put it mildly, inconvenient. And it was not just about Tesla. The entire narrative of modern science has been constructed to exclude the very idea that ancient wisdom traditions might have understood things that modern physics is only now beginning to grasp. To admit that Blavatsky was right about the nature of energy and vibration would mean admitting that the materialist worldview, the foundation of institutional science for over a century, was built on incomplete assumptions. Tesla himself was aware of this tension. He published his technical work freely, but kept his deeper philosophical explorations largely private. The 1907 article on primary substance and creative force was never published during his lifetime. Blavatsky faced the same forces from the opposite direction. While Tesla's mysticism was suppressed to protect his scientific credibility, Blavatsky's scientific insights were dismissed to protect the establishment's monopoly on knowledge. She was called a fraud, a charlatan, a plagiarist. Yet the concepts she described in 1888 continue to find echoes in the most advanced frontiers of modern physics. What's remarkable is that Tesla was not the only scientific giant influenced by these ideas. Thomas Edison was a member of the Theosophical Society itself. Albert Einstein reportedly kept a copy of the Secret Doctrine on his desk. The physicist Erwin Schrödinger, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, openly acknowledged his debt to Vedantic philosophy, the same tradition that Blavatsky had brought to the West. There is a pattern here. The most visionary minds of modern science kept finding their way back to the same ancient source, the same stream of wisdom that Blavatsky had risked her reputation, her health, and her life to preserve and transmit. The poet W.B. Yeats was a member of the Theosophical Society. The abstract painter Wassily Kandinsky credited Blavatsky's ideas with inspiring his revolutionary art. Mahatma Gandhi read The Secret Doctrine and corresponded with theosophists about Indian independence. The composer Alexander Scriabin attempted to translate theosophical cosmology into music. In every field, science, art, philosophy, politics, the Secret Doctrine's influence spread like an underground river, nourishing the roots of modern thought while remaining invisible on the surface. Even Rudolf Steiner, who would go on to found anthroposophy and revolutionize education, agriculture, and medicine, began his spiritual journey as a member of the Theosophical Society, directly inspired by Blavatsky's work. Tesla was simply the most dramatic example. Here was a man whose technology literally powered the 20th century, and his deepest understanding of how the universe worked came from the same tradition that mainstream science dismissed as fantasy. The suppression was not accidental, it was systematic, and it continues to this day in every textbook that presents Tesla as a pure engineer, in every biography that omits his spiritual dimension, in every history of science that treats the ancient wisdom traditions as primitive superstition. But the truth, like Fohat itself, cannot be contained forever. What does this hidden connection mean for us today? It means that the boundary between science and spirituality, the boundary that modern culture insists is absolute, is an illusion. It always has been. Blavatsky knew this in 1888. Tesla knew this in 1896. The ancient Vedantic sages knew it thousands of years before either of them. Today, we live in a world powered by Tesla's technology. Every time you turn on a light, every time you charge your phone, every time electrical current flows through the grid that sustains modern civilization, you are using a technology that was born in part from the marriage of Western engineering and Eastern mysticism. The alternating current that powers your home mimics the rhythmic pulsation of cosmic energy that Blavatsky described. The electromagnetic waves that carry your wireless signals travel through the same space that the ancients called Akasha. The vibrations in your speaker, the light from your screen, the heat from your stove, all of these are, as Blavatsky wrote, differentiated aspects of one universal motion. Tesla understood this. He saw technology not as a way to dominate nature, but as a way to harmonize with its deeper principles. His dream of free energy, of tapping the inexhaustible power of the cosmos itself, was not a fantasy. It was the logical conclusion of a worldview that recognized the universe as alive, intelligent, and generous with its energy to those who understood its laws. This is the legacy that mainstream science would prefer you not to know about. This is the connection that gets left out of the textbooks, the documentaries, and the biographies. But consider, if Tesla, the father of modern electrical technology, found the Vedantic cosmology to be the only theory modern science can entertain, perhaps we should ask ourselves what else the ancient wisdom traditions knew that we have yet to rediscover. What if the universe really is built from consciousness, as Blavatsky taught? What if energy, frequency, and vibration really are the fundamental language of reality, as Tesla believed? What if the Secret Doctrine's map of cosmic evolution, with its 7 planes of existence, its cycles of manifestation, its vision of consciousness evolving through matter toward ever greater self-awareness, what if it is not mythology, but a description of how things actually work? These questions cannot be answered by dismissing them. They can only be answered by investigation, by direct experience, by lifting the veil. Blavatsky dedicated her life to this work. She brought the ancient teachings to the West at enormous personal cost, enduring ridicule, betrayal, and ill health, because she believed that humanity needed this knowledge to survive its transition into the modern age. Tesla took those teachings and demonstrated that they could be translated into real power, the power that lights our world today, the thread that connects them, The golden thread of Vedantic wisdom, running from the ancient sages through Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine, through Vivekananda's living tradition into Tesla's laboratory, this thread has never been broken. It has only been hidden. And now, once more, the veil is lifting. The universe is not dead matter in mechanical motion. It is a living ocean of vibrating consciousness, Akasha animated by prana, structured by fohat, waiting for those who are ready to see it as it truly is. Energy, frequency, vibration. The secrets of the universe were never lost. They were always here, encoded in the ancient wisdom, waiting for us to remember. If these ideas resonate with you, we encourage you to go directly to the source. Helena Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine remains one of the most profound works ever written on the hidden nature of reality. A link to the book is in the description below. And if this is your first time encountering these teachings, know this: you are not alone. Across the world, a growing community of seekers is rediscovering what the ancients always knew, that science and spirituality are not enemies but allies in the quest to understand who we are and why we are here. The veil continues to lift, and we are here to lift it with you. May the light of ancient wisdom illuminate your path, today and always.